liminal spaces are the in-between spaces, periods where the old identity, the old structure, the old reality you're leaving behind, it's dissolving, but the new isn't fully clear yet. It's not fully formed yet. Well, welcome to another chat with Tim. I want to respond to a frequently asked question today. And it's a question that can take many forms. So here's one form. Why does letting go of control feel like disaster for trauma survivors? So it's like a person with complex trauma, letting go of control can feel like a life and death situation, that if you let go of the reins, disaster is going to happen. So that, sadly, is common for many areas in recovery. So let me give you just some examples of this. So let's say that you grew up where your parents told you that you got to work. If you ever relaxed, you were being selfish or lazy. So now you come into recovery and you realize, I've never learned to meet my 12 needs, take care of myself. So I need to learn to do some healthy self-care. The minute you do, you know it's the right thing to do. You know it's a good thing to do. The minute you do, you feel guilty and you feel tormented inside, and then you feel confused. You second guess yourself. That's the same idea. It feels like something bad's happened. This feels wrong. This feels weird. Or another example, let's say you grew up in chaos and it was unpredictable. You didn't know what was going to happen from one day to the next. It was constantly changing. And part of you, that was your normal. That's what you grew up with. But now you come into recovery and you realize that's not making an effective life. So I want to develop a healthy routine and structure. I want to get organized. And you do that, but it feels boring. It feels wrong. It feels like you're missing something. That happens. Or let's say when you grew up in relationships in your family where your needs weren't met unless you kind of earned your parents' attention. You earned their respect, that they liked you, so you had to fawn, you had to people please, you had to be what they wanted you to be. That's how you got your needs met. So now when you go into a relationship, you go, I'm going to stop doing that. I am just as important as them. I'm going to express my needs. As soon as you do it, you feel nobody's going to like me. They're all going to see me as a narcissist. They're going to reject me. And you just feel tormented inside and confused inside, and something bad's going to happen. Nobody's going to want me if I don't fawn. So this is an important part of recovery. So I want to explain it to you in a couple different ways. So the first is this. If you look at your childhood, what was your normal? What I want you to understand for people from complex trauma is that many of your normals weren't healthy. So you had to fawn to survive. You grew up in chaos. All of those things that was your normal. You didn't know that it was unhealthy. It was just what you lived with. And when something's your normal, you get used to it. You learn to function in it, and you learn to feel almost safe in it. But it starts to have negative consequences. But it's your default setting. It's normal. Then you come into recovery and you realize, oh, that was an unhealthy normal. I need to develop a healthy normal. So you go to move from your old normal to your new normal, and it feels weird. It feels wrong. It feels like something's not right here. Something bad's going to happen. And it creates doubt. It creates uncertainty. You second guess yourself because you have so many weird emotions. It can trigger fear. And so moving to a new place, even though it's a healthy new normal, initially it adds more stress to your nervous system. Initially it triggers fear. It feels wrong. And so what's easy for many people is to slide back into the old normal because it just feels safer. It just feels less hassle. But what I want people to understand in recovery is that when you go from an old normal that was unhealthy to a new normal that's healthy, you've got about a 3 to 6 month transition period. And during that transition period, it feels wrong. It feels weird. It feels unsafe. It triggers fear. It triggers guilt. All of that is part of transitioning to a new, healthy normal. So this transition time is known as liminal space. So liminal comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. You're at the very beginning of a new. It's the time between the old, what was, and the next, what will become. So it's a place of transition, a time of being in the middle, not knowing what the future is going to be like. So liminal spaces are the in-between spaces, periods where the old identity, the old structure, the old reality you're leaving behind, it's dissolving, but the new isn't fully clear yet. It's not fully formed yet. And so these transitional, transformative spaces, and these happen to everybody who's healing from complex trauma, they're often associated with just a very forlorn feeling. You feel alone, you feel disconnected, you feel uncertain. They bring about a whole bunch of negative emotions. I love what Richard Rohr has said about liminal spaces. He says, liminal spaces where we are betwixt and between the familiar and the completely unknown. There alone is our old world left behind, while we are not yet sure of the new existence. There's a good space where genuine newness can begin. Much of the work of human destiny is to get people into liminal space and to keep them there long enough that they can learn something essential and genuinely new. It is the ultimate teachable space. But the problem is that liminal space doesn't feel good. It causes people to feel overwhelmed again by stress, by fear, guilt. They feel confused. It just is a very uncomfortable feeling. And so there's a rawness, a vulnerability that's there. And so that's why many people, when they get to a liminal space, they think, I must be doing something wrong. I need to go back to where I feel good again. No, liminal space, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just transitioning to a new, healthier place, and it feels weird. It's the unknown. And so all of that, entering an unknown time, creates uncertainty, fear, and I don't feel I have the resources to cope with it because I've never been here before. It adds stress to my system, and it does not feel good. So let me just list some of the emotions you're going to feel when you go into liminal spaces. You're going to feel disorientation. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what my life's supposed to look like. You're going to feel ambiguity. Nothing feels settled. You're going to feel very vulnerable. But you might feel some possibility. I think maybe something new is about to happen here. But then you can also feel very lonely. Then you can feel guilt. Then you can feel fear. Then you can feel stress. This is important to understand because people from complex trauma, because of all they went through in childhood, they have this strong need for predictability, certainty, stable identity, feeling in control. What happens in liminal space? It takes all of that away. And so now you end up with anxiety, which can send you into your sympathetic vagal state, take you out of your ventral vagal state, or you can go into shutdown. Well, I just don't want to feel anything. I want to go back to feeling numb, and that's into your dorsal vagal state. Part of the sympathetic state can be, I need to figure this out right now. I can't sit for very long in the unknown. I need a solution right now. But I hope what you're realizing is liminal states are part of recovery. But I want you to think about it, two very positive takeaways. It's in liminal states where the change begins to happen. the old patterns start to loosen. Your identities start to reorganize. Your nervous system is renegotiating and finding true safety, and deeper truths are becoming visible. All that's happening in this very unsettling time. So, transformation doesn't happen just from insight at the beginning of the liminal state, and transformation doesn't happen after a quick little liminal state that you quickly get to resolving it. Transformation happens in the middle, in this liminal state, as you're beginning to reorganize all of these different parts. So 3 to 6 months, as you keep working on yourself, you get through this and you're into a brand new place. Hope that helps. Hope that answers your question. Thank you very much.